I built his business, and he repaid me with divorce papers. They say love and business don't mix, but I didn't learn that from a book. I learned it the hard way, the day I realized I built my husband's dream from the ground up, only for him to hand me divorce papers like I was an employee he didn't need anymore. I didn't just lose a marriage, I lost the company I helped create, the man I believed in, and the version of myself that still believed loyalty was enough. Welcome to Raw Reddit Tales. Subscribe to keep getting the spiciest stories. My name's Lena. I'm 32, living in Berlin, Germany. I work as a marketing manager for a sustainable fashion brand, or at least I used to, before my life started collapsing piece by piece. My husband Alex is a coffee roaster, or as I used to proudly tell people, an entrepreneur. When we met, he was struggling to get his small cafe idea off the ground. I saw potential in him, the passion in his eyes when he talked about beans, aromas, roasting temperatures. I believed in that dream so much that I put mine on hold. When he finally leased the cafe, he didn't have enough for decor or branding. I used my savings to design the place, built the logo myself, ran his social media, took photos, and handled marketing for free. It was our family business, or at least that's what I thought it was. We'd been married 5 years. No kids yet, though we'd been trying, or at least I thought we were. Then a few months ago, Alex announced he wanted to expand, open a second branch in Hamburg. I was nervous about the risk, but he was confident. He said he'd handle the setup and travel between both cities. I believed him, as I always did. When he started traveling, things felt different. The calls were shorter, the texts colder. He'd say he was exhausted, that I was overthinking things. I told myself I was being paranoid. Love makes you blind, but it also makes you stupid. And I was both. Until one Friday morning, during a campaign meeting at work, my phone buzzed with an email that shattered everything I thought I knew. For a second, I thought it was spam. Then I saw his lawyer's name. My stomach twisted. I froze mid-sentence while presenting a campaign strategy, my voice suddenly hollow. My colleague noticed my face drain of color and asked if I was okay. I couldn't speak. My hands trembled so violently I almost dropped my phone. I excused myself and ran to the restroom, locked the door and opened the email again, hoping it was a mistake. It wasn't. My husband had officially filed for divorce. No conversation, no warning, no fight, just an email from his lawyer while I was in the middle of saving the same business I helped him build. I called him immediately. No answer. I called again and again, straight to voicemail. I texted, Alex, what is this? Please tell me this is some kind of misunderstanding. Nothing. My chest was pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. The first thing I did after catching my breath was check our joint bank account, the one we'd been saving money in for a house. The balance, €212.64. He drained nearly 19,000 euros overnight. Every cent gone. My fingers went numb. I sat on the bathroom floor staring at my phone screen, unable to cry. It felt like my entire world had just been unplugged. That evening, after work, I went straight to his cafe. I was ready to demand an explanation, to look him in the eye and ask why. But when I got there, the barista, a new girl I'd never seen before, looked at me with wide eyes and said, "Oh, you must be Lena. He's in Hamburg with his girlfriend." Her words didn't register at first. Girlfriend? I laughed awkwardly, thinking she must have mistaken me for someone else. Then I noticed the way her smile faded, the uncomfortable silence that followed. She looked at me with pity. That was when it hit me. Everyone knew but me. Alex wasn't just expanding his business. He was building a new life, a new cafe, a new woman, and I was the fool financing the foundation. I remember standing outside that cafe, my hands still shaking, staring through the glass at everything I had built. The interior design, the color scheme, even the playlists, they were all mine. Every detail screamed of the hours I'd poured in, unpaid and unnoticed. Yet, in that moment, I felt like a stranger trespassing in someone else's dream. That night, I walked home in the rain because I couldn't bring myself to take a cab. I needed the cold to numb me, to stop my mind from replaying the words, with his girlfriend. The thought of him touching someone else, smiling at her the way he used to smile at me, made my chest tighten until breathing hurt. When I finally got home, I went through our things, old photos, travel tickets, anniversary cards. There was one note he'd written me on our wedding day. We'll build everything together, no matter what comes our way. I tore it into pieces. The next morning, I tried calling again. No response. He had blocked me on WhatsApp, blocked me on Instagram, blocked me everywhere except email. I typed a message that took me 3 hours to write and 2 seconds to delete. What was I even supposed to say? Please don't leave. Please explain why you destroyed everything. Later that day, a mutual friend, Ben, called me after seeing my silence online. He sounded hesitant, careful, like he was walking on broken glass. Lena, he said quietly, I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, but Alex's new branch in Hamburg, he didn't open it alone. My heart dropped. What do you mean? There's a woman named Clara. He met her at a coffee expo 6 months ago. They've been close since then. Clara. The name burned into my brain like poison. 6 months. That meant while I was still creating marketing plans, scheduling shoots, paying bills, and talking about kids, he was already slipping away, one lie at a time. I ended the call without saying goodbye. I sat there on the floor of my empty apartment, realizing that somewhere between love and loyalty, I'd lost myself completely. I spent the next few days in a fog, moving through Berlin like a shadow. Without the cafe to go to or a job to hide behind, time stretched painfully slow. My days used to start with scheduling posts, checking inventory, tasting new roasts with Alex. Now they started with silence. No orders, no laughter, no purpose. The business that once felt like ours was now his stage, and I had been written out of the script. I scrolled through my phone obsessively, convincing myself there must be a misunderstanding. Then one morning, I saw it. A tagged photo from the grand opening of his new cafe in Hamburg. Alex stood smiling beside a woman in a black apron. Clara, her name was in the caption, right there under the new brand logo I didn't design. Couldn't have done it without her, it read. My stomach turned. That was the same phrase he'd once said to me when we first opened in Berlin. I stared at that image for what felt like hours, the comments blurring on the screen, friends congratulating him, customers wishing him success. Not one mention of me. It was like I'd been erased from the narrative, a ghost who'd built the walls but didn't get a plaque. For the first time in weeks, I cried, not out of heartbreak, but humiliation. I had no job to fall back on, no savings, nothing. I'd poured everything into his dream, believing it was our future. Now, I was left standing in the ruins of a life that wasn't mine anymore. That night, after hours of staring at empty walls, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let him win. I called a lawyer the next morning. Her name was Sabine. She listened quietly as I told her everything, from the bank transfers to the unpaid hours I spent running his operations. When I was done, she nodded slowly. You have rights, Lena. You can fight for what's yours. For the first time, I didn't feel powerless. I felt angry, controlled, focused. Alex might have taken everything, but I was about to show him that the woman he underestimated was the one who built it all. Sabine didn't waste time. She asked me to bring every document, every receipt, every bank statement that tied me to the cafe. I spent the entire weekend digging through drawers and folders, finding proof of everything I had contributed. Lease deposits, invoices I paid, social media analytics, even emails where I negotiated with suppliers. Every piece of evidence was another reminder of how deep I'd been in that business, and how much of myself I'd lost in it. When we met again on Monday, she skimmed through the stack of papers and said, "You practically co-own this business, Lena. He may have registered it in his name, but you built it." Her words hit hard, both empowering and painful. I had done all that, yet my name wasn't anywhere official. I wasn't a partner. I was just the wife. While Sabine started the paperwork, I began researching the Hamburg Cafe online. That's when I discovered something that made my skin crawl. The new business wasn't just an expansion, it was a rebrand. Alex had changed the entire company name. New logo, new slogan, crafted with passion. The domain registration date? Exactly 1 week after our 5th anniversary. The betrayal ran deeper than I thought. He hadn't just replaced me emotionally, he'd replaced me professionally too. Days turned into weeks, and I started hearing whispers. A supplier we both knew reached out quietly, telling me Alex had spread rumors that I abandoned the business, that I wasn't emotionally stable to handle the pressure. My jaw dropped. The man I built an empire for was now destroying my reputation to protect his. Sabine urged me to stay calm, but I couldn't. I showed up at his cafe one afternoon, unannounced. It was smaller than ours, minimalist and pretentious, filled with curated smiles and the smell of roasted betrayal. And there he was, behind the counter, laughing with her. He froze when he saw me. Clara stepped closer to him, pretending she wasn't scared. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Don't forget who taught you everything you know." Then I left, my heels echoing on the floor that suddenly felt like a courtroom. After that confrontation, something inside me shifted. The version of me that begged for explanations or closure was gone. I wasn't looking for pity anymore. I wanted justice, or at least acknowledgement that I hadn't imagined everything we'd built together. I spent my nights drafting emails to investors, suppliers, and partners we'd worked with, reminding them who had built the original branding, who had negotiated the deals, who had run the campaigns that made Kaffekraft a local success story. Slowly, people started connecting dots. Some suppliers even stopped working with Alex out of loyalty to me. He noticed, and he wasn't happy. One evening, I received a message from an unknown number. It was him. "You need to stop whatever you're doing. You're ruining everything." I stared at my phone, my hand trembling, not from fear, but from disbelief. He had the audacity to act like I was the problem. "You already ruined everything," I replied. "I'm just cleaning up your mess." A few days later, Sabine called me urgently. "Lena, you might want to sit down." My heart sank as she told me Alex had filed a counterclaim, accusing me of sabotage and emotional harassment. He even attached fake screenshots of me supposedly threatening him. The lies were so detailed it almost impressed me, if it didn't make me sick. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. A week later, Clara posted a photo on Instagram, a mirror selfie inside their Hamburg cafe with the caption, "Our dream finally coming true." Except in the reflection behind her, clear as day, was Alex's laptop screen, open to an email draft with Sabine's name on it. The message? A desperate attempt to settle out of court before evidence surfaced about him hiding joint funds. Sabine nearly laughed when I sent her the screenshot. "He just gave us proof he's been concealing assets. This changes everything." For the first time in months, I slept peacefully. I wasn't healed, but I had power again, the kind I earned, not begged for. Still, something told me this battle wasn't over. And I was right, because the next morning, a brown envelope slid under my door, changed everything I thought I knew about Alex. The envelope was unmarked, no sender, just my name written in a rushed scrawl. My first thought was that it was another legal document, maybe something from Alex's lawyer, but when I tore it open, what spilled out weren't papers from court. They were photos, dozens of them. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. Alex standing outside his Hamburg cafe with a man I'd never met. Then another photo showing him exchanging what looked like an envelope. Then another, late at night, outside a warehouse with the same man. My stomach knotted. Tucked between the pictures was a USB drive. No note, no explanation, just that. Sabine advised against opening it immediately, but my curiosity overpowered caution. I plugged it into my laptop, and what I found made my blood run cold. Audio files, emails, and receipts revealing that Alex hadn't been funding his expansion through normal means. He'd borrowed from a private investor tied to illegal import schemes, the kind that could destroy a business overnight if exposed. The Hamburg branch wasn't just his fresh start, it was his escape plan. The more I read, the more I realized his new girlfriend, Clara, wasn't some innocent affair. She was the investor's niece. He'd been using her for leverage while convincing her he was building something honest. The irony made me sick. That night, I sat in my small apartment, the glow of my laptop reflecting off my tear-streaked face. I could end him with a single email. Send the files to the authorities, the press, everyone. Destroy everything he'd built, the same way he destroyed me. But the thought of revenge didn't feel as satisfying as I imagined. Maybe because deep down, a piece of me still remembered the man I once believed in. Sabine was clear, though. If this goes public, Lena, he's done, legally and financially. But so are you. People will know you helped build a business tied to him. Are you ready for that fallout? I didn't answer her right away, because at that moment, my phone buzzed again, an email notification from an anonymous address. The subject line read, "You don't know everything about Alex, but I do." My pulse quickened as I stared at the subject line. For a long minute, I just sat there, the glow of the screen painting my apartment in a ghostly light. Finally, I clicked it open. Inside was a single message and an attached file. The message read, "You think he only betrayed you in business? Open this. You deserve the full truth." I hesitated before downloading it, part of me terrified, part of me desperate. Inside the folder were screenshots, bank transactions, and an unfamiliar name, Mara K. At first, I thought she was just another investor or employee, but then I saw the dates, the messages, the photos. Mara wasn't just anyone. She was my former best friend, the one who had introduced me to Alex years ago. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. The two people who had shaped my adult life, the woman who stood by me through everything, and then the man I built a future with, had been together long before the divorce papers. Some of their exchanges went back over a year. While I was designing campaigns and defending him in meetings, they were building a secret life. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I just sat there, scrolling through proof of the kind of betrayal no therapy could fix. My entire life had been one elaborate illusion. The next morning, I met Sabine again, holding the printed evidence in trembling hands. She looked at me with quiet pity and said, "Lena, you have the truth now. The question is, what do you want to do with it?" For the first time, I didn't have an answer. Revenge suddenly felt hollow. Justice didn't feel complete. Because what do you do when every piece of your old life, your love, your friendships, your dreams, has already been burnt to ash? That night, I stood at the edge of my balcony, staring at the city lights of Berlin. Somewhere out there, Alex was still building lies, still convincing people he was the victim. Maybe one day, the truth would catch up to him, but maybe it already had. So, what would you do if the person you loved most turned out to be your biggest betrayal? The end. Please like and subscribe for more interesting stories like this.